am clearly not in Exmouth. That is so cool. I'm so stoked. If you're on a cyclist now, you need to dismount. Alright crew, welcome back to another episode. I am clearly not in Exmouth. I am on the other side of the country, and for those of you that are really observant, you'll recognise that building in the background. I'm going to get back to that later in the episode, but for now I'm heading to Eden. Eden is a place where orcas and humans once worked together to hunt, and so I'm going to go and learn about that relationship and bring you guys along with it. So yeah, we'll come back to this. Really wonder how I got here. I'm in New South Wales now, and this is the second roo that I've seen knocked over on the road and not taken off. So yeah, people, super sad. Take your wildlife off the road, people. It's not that hard. It's a traffic hazard, and for wildlife as well. Yeah, there could be eagles and stuff coming down to feed on them. We've mentioned this before, but there could be other wildlife that comes in to try to feed on them, and then they get hit as well. Anyway, look where I am. I've just arrived at a platypus reserve. So I'm going to go and see if I can see a platypus. There you go. I've never ever seen a platypus. Fingers crossed. Apparently, you need to be here early in the morning or late in the afternoon because they're mostly nocturnal and during the day they're sleeping, so I don't hold much hope, but you never know. Let's check it out. Beautiful little spot. So I thought I saw one before down here, but they can hold their breath for up to 14 minutes, they reckon, so. But just the sounds are so different for me, even just the sheep, but it sounds like frogs and anyway, very cool. This is the home of the platypus. I definitely just saw a platypus. It was down there. I think it swam along here. I've got some footage of my phone. It's really grainy, but you'll see it was a platypus. And then it went in there, so it must have a burrow in there. But this is spring now, so they may be nesting. And the cool thing about platypus is they lay eggs, and then the female will wrap herself around the eggs. They're just such a weird creature. What is that thing? Anyway, super cool. I'm so stoked I saw one. I wish it would pop up one more time. I think it's gone to its burrow. Maybe it's feeding babies. There it is. A duck-billed platypus. That's so cool. Anyway, I've got about an hour to go to Eden, so I'm going to press on, leave these platypus in peace. It's so cool that they've got this reserve, a safe place for platypi, which I think is the plural of platypus. So cool. Right, let's go Orca Museum next. That is so cool. I'm so stoked. Literally rocked up 5 minutes and I spotted a platypus. Yeah, I feel so lucky. That's so rare. Anyway, that's so cool. That's my first platypus. They're an incredible creature because they are obviously marsupials. They have a pouch and they've got a duck bill. For those of you that don't know, the males have a venomous spine and they lay eggs. What a crazy creature. And I just saw one swimming around in a river. That's so cool. Anyway, Eden's next, let's go.
Dolphins in Brazil catching fish and birds getting honey in Africa. There's probably a few other less documented, but this is one of the best documented. It ended in about 1930 with the death of old Tom, and his skeleton is in the museum, so we'll go have a look.
Alright guys, I've got to be quiet, we're in a museum, but this is old Tom. Up here is a dwarf minke, and up there is a false killer whale. All of which we get at Ningaloo, and I've seen these guys hunting these guys, which is fascinating. But this is old Tom, and I reckon he was about 80 when he died, but he died in the 1930s, and you can see he had a habit of helping the whalers by grabbing the rope, and he's worn down the front teeth. There's that last tooth you can see was starting to wear down as well. There he is. So I'm over to this is the line.
There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of that ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew harder, bow dipped down, blow me bully boys blow. Soon may the weatherman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
I'm back in the car. That's the museum entrance right there. Now there's too many people for me, and I definitely think I'm not going to go around and show you the whole museum. Obviously, there's a lot to see there and a lot to take in. It's a really cool spot. If you are anywhere near Eden, I think it's well worth a visit. If you're anything at all interested in the story of killer whales at Eden, it's an incredible spot. Anyway, I'm going to go and throw myself into the ocean, I think. I'm also going to have a look at a couple of other spots. I'm going to try and get to the homestead where the Davidson family lived. I suppose at some point I should try and piece together a little bit of a story about Eden. But the Davidson family were one of the families that were involved with the relationship between the orcas and the people hunting. That relationship, incidentally, was forged by the local indigenous people, is my understanding. So I've still got more reading to do, but yeah, that's what's happening. Bye.
The story of the whalers of Twofold Bay predates white settlement in Australia. For countless generations, the people of the Yuin Nation lived beside these waters, recognising the killer whale as a relative, a spiritual ancestor known as Biawa, meaning brother. It is here that one of the most extraordinary relationships between humans and a wild predator was forged. When Europeans arrived in the 1800s, the Davidson family established a small whaling station along the sheltered shores of Kia Inlet. What they encountered was remarkable. A pod of killer whales, led by a powerful male known as Old Tom, began to work alongside them. With intelligence unmatched among ocean hunters, the orcas would pursue migrating baleen whales, herding them into Twofold Bay. Then, in a dramatic display, they would signal the whalers with a slap of the tail upon the water's surface, rush-o, a call to join the hunt. This cooperation, unique anywhere in the world, became known as the Law of the Tongue. The orcas would take their preferred share, the lips and tongue, while the whalers claimed the rest. In return, Old Tom would even grasp the harpoon ropes and, with astonishing strength, tow the wooden boats through the swell. For decades, this partnership continued, a rare alliance between humans, culture and nature. But in 1930, Old Tom's body washed into the bay, marking the end of an era. His skeleton now rests in the Eden Killer Whale Museum, preserved as a testament to this extraordinary chapter of Australian history. Today, the waters of Twofold Bay remain calm, yet they hold the memory of a bond seldom seen. A place where humans and killer whales once shared the hunt, guided by ancient knowledge and mutual respect.
It's warmed up a little bit. It's like 25 degrees now, so yeah, able to get out of the jeans and into my shorts, back in my usual attire. I've finally pulled my hat out of my bag so I don't get burnt. But where we are now is at the Davidson whaling station. So this is where the Davidson family used to whale from. So I'm excited to check it out. I haven't heard much about it. I've seen a little bit of video footage online about it. But yeah, here we go. This is the walkway in. What a beautiful spot. Check out the old homestead. Anyway, we'll find out what this is all about. There's the old homestead, couple of kangaroos just hopping around. What a cool little spot. That looks like an old drum, like the ones we get at the whaling station at Ningaloo. But what's really cool is there's so many trees, you just get teased by what's out there. But it looks like a pretty cool little bay. I'm going to get down there and have a look. What a beautiful spot. This is so different to what I'm used to, but look at the beautiful beach with the trees right up to the beach. Oysters on the rocks. Oh, have a look at it. Some old whaling station stuff here. So, I'm not an expert, but this is apparently where they used to process the whale blubber into oil. And the oil by the 1930s was used mostly 80% or something for margarine. But there used to be a hut here, and they used to cut the strips of blubber off and then boil the blubber, and then the oil would come out into these pots here, and then they would transport it, I think, while the oil was cooling in these tanks, and it would get transported up the hill there. There are some pictures of them with an old capstan with the big sticks in there, and they would walk around the capstan dragging these drums of oil up the beach. And I think this is the bay where they used to drag the whales in once they'd been killed and leave them out here on a mooring for old Tom and the other orcas, 23 orcas that worked with the Davidson family. This is where they would come in and leave the whale for the orca family to take the tongue and the lips and the fluke, and then in the morning the whale, with the gases building up in the decomposition of the whale, would float up, and then they would drag it in up onto the decks here and process the whale here. I don't know if that's just a certain type of rock down here, or it could be some leftovers from the old ramp, but there is some different looking stuff down there. I suspect most of it, they say, has been washed away through storms, and these rocks have obviously been put here since. But yeah, what a crazy, eerie place, and what an incredible story of people cooperating with nature to hunt. Now this was set up originally by the indigenous people of the area. They are the Yuin, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, the Yuin nation, and they observed the behaviour where the orcas would bring the whales in into the shallow areas where they would find it easier to kill the calves, but then they taught them to beach the whales, and when they beached the whales they would spear them. So that behaviour was learnt long before white people came along, and that relationship, they actually had a name for them. I'm just reading it off here, but they said that the orcas were essentially brothers. The name they had for them was brothers. So that relationship was long before white people were here. What an incredible place. I've read so much about this story over my life, and to actually be here is pretty crazy. Yeah. Stunning spot. Can't come all this way without getting in. I don't have a towel. So once I get out, it's going to be pretty cold. Anyway, here we go. There's some fish. Nice. Not that bad, I'll be honest. I think because it's so shallow and still in here, it's warmed up by the sun. It's a pretty warm day, so that wasn't too bad. All right, crew, so I'm just driving away from the Davidson whaling station. I'm going to go and have a look at Boyd's Tower. Boyd's Tower is where apparently they have a tower, obviously, where they used to look out for the orcas coming in and slapping in the bay to alert the whalers that there were whales to come and capture. So that's where we're headed now. So behind me there, you can see Boyd's Tower. Now Boyd's Tower was built in the 1840s by Benjamin Boyd. He was a Scottish entrepreneur, and he wanted to build it as a lighthouse and as a lookout for his whaling operation. But it was never actually used as a lighthouse. It was never completed as a lighthouse. It was used for his whaling operation. Obviously Boyd's Tower is a good spot to spot whales from because there's a whale watching boat right there. And I would say that they're looking at whales.
It's perched up on the coast with some stunning views, and it's part of them.
I'd say they're looking at some whale. Sick. Inside Boyd's Tower. Wish we could still get up the top. That's cool as. I can hear a whale slapping out the front though. Alright, so I just walked to the tip here, and this is where Boyd's Tower is, just up there, but I did hear a whale slapping down here. And indeed, if you come down the coast, you can see one slapping there in front of that whale watching boat. Oh, there's another one just breached out there. I'm not sure why you needed to build a tower. You could have just built a walkway like this. All right, crew, I'm at the base of Boyd's Tower. It's an impressive tower. Looks like it's made of some sort of limestone. Beautiful windows. There's some engravings in here in memory of someone. I'm sure it tells me somewhere. It's even got Boyd engraved in the top there. So no expense spared. I do wonder, can you see the top now? It's got Boyd written up. Ooh, it's got Boyd written up there. But anyway, I do wonder why he didn't just build a little walkway like this to the end, because you can see whales everywhere. If there's anything more you want to know, drop it in the comments and I'll try and answer your questions. Just as I'm walking away here, another interesting thing that I just read is that that top corner there was struck by lightning, and that's why it's damaged. Very interesting. All the timber for the stairways and stuff rotted away. Very cool. Apparently the team back home say it wasn't ocean enough. So apparently I've got to jump in here. So I'm going to do that now. I'll agree, that's significantly colder, but not unbearable. Done. Brisk swim just before I'm going for dinner. I've just come down to Snug Cove. Now apparently old Tom washed into the bay there and then he was towed in here, and there's a photograph which I'll put up now of George from the Davidson family sitting on top of his old mate, and then obviously he was taken away and he's now resting in the Orca Museum, which is up there, the Killer Whale Museum. Last little stop, look out here at the end of town. Someone's sailing away, or motoring at the moment. But from here you can see Boyd's Tower on the corner there. That's the Navy base, and then down there is where we went earlier today to see the old whaling station, and then round the corner there is where Snug Cove is. It is the next day, and I am departing Eden. So I've just had some brekkie, a nice little cafe there, and I'm heading to the Cooma Hydro Discovery Centre to meet Cal, and then to Jindabyne tonight, and then Canberra the next day. So that's the plan. If anything happens, I'll obviously bring you along. I'm obviously over a white line there, but yeah, that's the plan. Let's go. I've left the coast. I'm up in the hills, heading to the hydro dam. We've left the coast, we've gone through the mountains, and now we're at Cooma. We're at the Snowy Hydro Discovery Centre. We're learning about renewable resources, and we're also here with Cal, who's casually decided to sit down even though he's in the video now.
Oh,
you remember Cal from such episodes as
Mantas
and the golf episodes where we had the cobia and the
not
big
many cobia around here.
School of dugongs. But we are completely out of our depth. But Cal has promised we're going to catch a rainbow trout.
Maybe not now.
See a wombat. Right, anyway, let's go into the Discovery Centre and see what's around.
Post World War II, they pinched a heap of the engineers and they built this whole network through the mountains with all these dams and giant turbines to build the power system, and it was like one of the engineering wonders of the world at the time.
And really cool. Oh, we can light stuff up.
Reservoirs.
That's tunnels.
So Lake Yukonbene there is like 7 times the volume of Sydney Harbour, I think.
That was the Discovery Centre. We're now going to Ginderbine. Let's go. I'm led to believe this is Lake Jindabyne here, and this is a dam, and we're going to go and have a look at the dam. But if you're a cyclist now, you need to dismount. Dismount, cyclists.
So this is the bottom of the Snowy River. This is like the outlet. I think this is the end of the whole infrastructure system. I think this is like the lowest point.
So the man from Snowy River would be gutted.
He would be. I think he's further upstream.
Oh, he's all right then. We're on the dam now. It's white capping. Really impressive rocks, but white capping, and they've marked it off. So you're not allowed to go boating in here, I'm guessing. Yeah, and it's windy as balls. Hang on. Cal's just doing a rogue manoeuvre. We're trying to look at the dam's open at the moment. They've got too much water. Just dropping my car off at the Jindabyne, I don't know what this place is, and Cal's squeezing me into a Mini. Now, I'm 6'8", so...
It's a slightly longer Mini, so it's a little bit
It's a Mini sedan. What do you call it? Wagon?
Clubman.
Clubman. All right, here we go. Can't even open the door. Cal has taken me to some backwater here. Possibly this is a murder situation going on here.
I lived in Jindabyne for 18 months, didn't catch a single coral trout. And then over here is our coral trout hatchery, and if you walk...
Coral trout?
Coral trout hatchery. Eventually...
Rainbow trout?
Sorry, rainbow trout. Yeah,
I was going to say, you got coral trout here.
Next not too long.
Get me a mask and snorkel.
I forget exactly how far, but after a couple hundred meters or a few hundred meters that way, suddenly you're allowed to fish. And I went fishing there and finally caught my first rainbow trout.
Did you really? I've caught a rainbow trout in England in the Yorkshire Dales.
There was some splashing over there before.
Years ago. But this is a trout hatchery. So, what, are we going to catch a trout here, or are we going to tickle a trout?
That's illegal. I don't know, I just thought we'd come and maybe see a trout.
Maybe see a trout. Are we allowed to have a look in here?
I think not.
Okay. So we're going to look from a distance.
It's a great swimming spot in the summer though.
So can we look at in the river?
We can look in the river.
I know where they hang out in the rivers. I used to tickle trout.
Also platypus in here.
Oh, platypus. More platypus, people. You really do feel like you're in the Alps here. The Swiss Alps. There's a duck. That's exciting. Alright, you guys have got the polarising lens on, see? So you should be able to spot any trout.
No, there's a chance. We've got to go to Charles Pass
In that pond there is the baby trout. Well, you can't say we came to Jindabyne and didn't see a fish. Even if it's in a pond. There's right there, mate, look.
Yeah, thank you.
Right there.
Oh,
big
huge.
dogs.
Oh, what? I can actually see him.
Yeah, look at
he's a monster.
Big trout. You said just throw the whole thing, eh?
I don't know, I wasn't...
They are some big trout.
If you caught that, you'd be frothing.
Mate, that's probably legal size
Fucking,
coral
yeah,
trout. Look at them go. I'm going to put some right in front of you there, Cal. They're getting feisty. Look at the beautiful colours on them.
Yeah, they're stunning.
Oh, you get that one?
No, but I can see him.
See the manta ray swim past now and we're laughing. This is still the Thredbo River, and littered around the riverbank are these big holes, and these are wombat holes. So from the common wombat, and I haven't seen any live ones yet, but I've seen lots of roadkill. So yeah, wombats are generally apparently nocturnal and marsupials, so they carry a joey in their pouch. So yeah, this is wombat country. New South Wales in what, Kosciuszko National Park, and they've gone for the bright yellow road markings, and that's because it snows here. So yeah, you need the yellow so you can see it even when it's snowing. But beautiful country. Well, I just looked straight into a wall. Beautiful forest there. Looks like there's some old growth trees in there too. What can you tell us about Kosciuszko National Park, Cal?
So Strzelecki, I don't know his first name. If I could just make up a Polish name, but he climbed up from the other side. So he climbed up from the Albury side. There's a ridge called Hamel's Spur, which he climbed up, and he reached the top, and he found what he called Mount Kosciuszko. And then he turned around and went back down, and then years later they found out that actually that wasn't the tallest peak. There was a peak taller further on, and they then renamed Mount Kosciuszko from what is now Mount Townsend to what is currently Mount Kosciuszko, which is 2228 meters high, I think, 7,300 feet, something like that. Tall, and it just looks like a giant hill.
And could you fly over that in a helicopter?
We can fly over that in a helicopter.
Have you?
Yeah. It's the, well, they built the track up there, so a lot of the track has been built, all the parts have been slung in by us, and they've only just redone, I think it's only just been finished now up the top, so they drive, this road drives up pretty close to the top, and then they can sling the gear for the other part. So they've also built a big walking track around the end, which is called the Seven Peaks Trail or something.
Nice. Anyway, so I was swimming at a beach yesterday, and today maybe find snow.
Hopefully.
We're waiting for a magic shot, but it's on the next peak. We'll ring you back. So we are coming into summer. There is snow here still. Obviously some residual snow. It's not still snowing. But I did grow up with snow, so I'm very familiar with it. I do just drive around quad bike. So I'm very familiar with it, but there's snow right next to the road. But a lot of the people I live with and have, you know, when I moved to Australia, people that have lived in Australia all their lives, a lot of them haven't seen snow. And so my kids especially, we took them to France one year and snow absolutely blew their mind. And even Caitlin, for those of you that watch the channel regularly, know Caitlin, she has never seen snow. So we may have to do another trip back to visit Cal and Shiloh in a winter time to see first reactions of snow. If that's something you want to see, drop us a comment down below. Summer. Just so you can hold on in the wind. But We think.
So the point over there that looks higher is actually Townsend, and I'm pretty sure it's just here because you can see the track just cutting through it.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the last bit it wraps up.
So it's not really a peak like
No,
Everest.
It's completely boring and it's a hill. You like when you're climbing it, you kind of like, is this it?
So that is the highest mountain on the Australian mainland.
Correct. By 75 feet. Townsend.
Even taller than anything in Tassie.
Yeah.
So that is the highest mountain in Australia over there, Mount Kosciuszko. And it's a beautiful spot. I'm not taking anything away from it, but it's an underwhelming peak.
It's very underwhelming peak.
Yeah. But, I mean, what a stunning spot. And to think, yesterday I was swimming at a beach in 27 degrees. Even down in Jindabyne at the moment, it's about 27 degrees, isn't it?
Yeah, it was in the 20s.
It was warm. And now, we're up here, Australian snow. So if you come back here in winter, Cal says June is the time the snow starts to fall. And then obviously as you get closer towards, what's the best month you reckon?
I think July is when people try to get in the most, but it's just so dependent.
July school
You just
holidays.
got to get lucky with when the wind's not up and it's not.
You could, if you were loaded, have a really epic holiday and have school holidays. Go here for a week of skiing and then go to Ningaloo,
That's it.
swim with a whale shark.
Go to Japan.
July school holidays. Well, I mean, yeah, but you're not in Australia still, are you? And I feel great that I've seen snow in Australia. And these beautiful rivers down here. You got gums everywhere, koalas and wombats and platypus around and rainbow trout. You can catch yourself a rainbow trout. Apparently the season's just opened.
October long weekend to April long weekend when you can get them in the river.
I'm literally here for half a day. So I will not be able to catch rainbow trouts. More of an ice ball. There you go, we had a snow fight. Now it's funny to me how they've gone with the real like European alpine look. It really reminds me of like France or Switzerland in the Alps there. You'd think they'd just like get a bit of Australiana in there. Maybe they have, I don't know. I'm not being in there, but from a distance, it just looks very French. I gotta say, I know it's soggy snow, but I did not expect to see snow on this trip. And yeah, that water would be ice cold, I would wager. Thoughts? Tangy. Morning. So I finished up yesterday with Cal. And I'm leaving Ginderbine today, going to Canberra. But I've just come up, apparently there's some platypus in this little river here, so we're just going to look. There are a couple of kangaroos just down here. And there's a rabbit over there. I did see a platypus with the drone. I didn't know I was looking at a platypus, but I'll roll on that footage now. Interesting things about this place is obviously the snowy mountain scheme for the hydroelectric, which we learn about at the Discovery Centre, and you guys can learn about too when you go there. I don't know all the ins and outs, but one of the fascinating things is in about 1967 they finished the dam, which is around the corner there, and then obviously this whole valley flooded here, and then there's this artificial lake Jindabyne. But underwater there used to be a town down there. And the people were relocated. So in about 1967 that whole town started to flood. And this is an interesting spot because this is where the road used to go down into the old town. Apparently, when the water's low, you can actually still see the church steeple. over here somewhere. So underwater there's an old town where people used to live, and then they were all relocated up to higher ground to allow for the flooding of the lake and this national scheme to generate power. But there it is, the road that goes to nowhere. Fascinating little piece of history. Imagine if the government came and told you, we're going to flood your town, you need to move. Can't imagine. I'm nearly back in Canberra and time to reveal the whole purpose of the trip. That'll be tomorrow. Anyway, look at the beautiful scenery. 9 degrees today, I'm really feeling it. All right, crew, I'm here at Parliament House. This is the whole reason for my visit and the whole reason for coming over to the ACT and New South Wales. That little bit that you've seen already, that was my 2-day holiday down to Eden and then up to Jindabyne. 2 days at Parliament House. The purpose of the visit. So, Australian Conservation Foundation has flown me and a bunch of other delegates taking all around Australia, just representatives of their own their own industries, such as fishing, farming, people from the Great Barrier Reef, and us from Ningaloo are here as well, just to tell our stories to as many politicians as possible. There's some legislation going through in regards to environmental legislation, some groundbreaking or new stuff coming through, and we're here to tell the story of Ningaloo, to share it with those people that tend to live in a bit more of a bubble. So we all live in our own bubbles, obviously. I get that. But sometimes I feel like ours is a bit more connected to nature than those people living in this bubble. Yeah, lots of people here today. Lots going on. Now up there at Australia's Parliament House. So we're going and talk to as many politicians as we can get our hands on. That's the plan. So one of the main things that we've been doing is catching up with politicians and trying to grab them and just have a chat and share our stories. But this is one of the places that we've been in Parliament and just having a barbecue and waiting for the politicians to come down, attract them with food, and then we snavel them and try and share our stories. So everyone's been doing an amazing job from all over the country sharing our stories. Hopefully we've had some impact. But yeah, this is the barbecue area that we've been hanging out in. What do you reckon, mate?
That was interesting. Last 2 days in Parliament House, voicing our concerns about the environment.
Crazy, eh? Crazy place, and I don't understand any of how it works.
It is pretty wild in there. It's definitely a different world, and we went into the chamber where they all go in there to get their points across and to pretty much argue. But it's scary to see because things just don't really listen to each other.
No, and it's just theatre, eh?
It's kind of theatre, but
yeah.
We did meet some incredible people in there that are pushing super hard for these nature laws to change, which is really cool. I still feel like there's hope, but I don't know, it's kind of cool to come here and to voice our concerns. I feel like the people we got to meet and chat to, they were quite engaged, and hopefully all those little things help, every person we got to chat to.
The little tiny voices eventually become a roar.
Hopefully.
Here with Nushi reporting from Parliament House.
Hey, g'day. Here we are at Parliament House. No, but seriously, it's been great. We've been talking about the effects that Ningaloo has had after the marine heat wave. It's been really great to get in there today and talk to some people and share the story of the reef, and that we need to put all efforts into saving it and protecting it for the future.
You were made for the camera, Nush. Is there anywhere else anyone can see you? Mate, you didn't even plug your own show.
Thank you, over and out.
That's it. That's the end of my trip to Parliament House. Sorry I couldn't take you in there. You got to get a permit to film inside. So, yeah. What a crazy place. Completely out of my comfort area or my natural habitat. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. Look at the view down there and the view over there, Parliament House. But yeah, if you enjoyed that kind of thing, subscribe. If you want to see more of our normal programming, drop us a comment. If you don't ever want to see this kind of stuff again, also let us know. But yeah, we'll be back on Ningaloo next week. We'll see you next week here on Ningaloo Crew. Bye! Wait, look at him, majestic on the rock. Very nice. I'm sliding.
Just go along.
I want red already. That was a video, so we can just free frame. A lot of these coastal towns in the south coast of Australia have got these big trees here. These are Norfolk pines, come from Norfolk Island, and the reason they planted them around the place is when old wooden ships used to come ashore, if they needed to replace their mast, these Norfolk pines grew nice and straight. They get much bigger than this. These are the smallest ones I've seen. But yeah, you can see they've got the straight trunk, and so really good for replacing your mast if your mast is broken. Handy. You're right. You go.
Gorgeous highway which runs all the way up to Tumut River. Shiloh was coming to visit me one day, and right about here, right where there's no reception, our engine blew up.
And that's the patrol that caught fire.
Engine number 2.
Alright, let's get into it. Inhale the nature.